Wow, a PhD. I'm going to add that to my resume, though. PhD in nuclear physics. So I am smarter than you guys. So the question a lot of you probably have is, what is a racetrack doing here at the SEMA show? And I want to tell you that no matter what part of the value chain you're in, that it all comes down to fans. It all comes down to customers. And on the motorsports side, if you don't have fans paying to come see your product, then none of us would be here. Probably starting with me, these guys, all the way to Mike Helton. So to me, SEMA, I just love coming out here. I get invigorated walking around, seeing the innovation and creativity. So whether it's an auto part or the actual car or anything in between, or even the racetrack, you know, it's about creativity and innovation, and that's a mindset. And that's what excites me, is having that mindset. So I want to share a little bit with you about why it's so important that we have that mindset, being the last part of the value chain and the fans coming out. So I want to start with a little bit of background of why it was important to us. So 1968 to 2006, we're located in the Irish Hills of Michigan. First race was 68, first NASCAR race was 69. 2006, we were selling, that was kind of our peak, about 137,000 grandstand seats, not counting the 20, 25,000 in the infield. Ironically, 2006 is when I got to MIS. So you guys can figure out the rest from there. You don't need a PhD. Here was the reality, what I found. It was much more stark. And these guys from Michigan and Detroit know, even as early as 2004, we were starting to see the early signs of the recession in Michigan well before the rest of the country. And that had a huge impact on our Michigan account holders. We were primarily people who worked in the automotive industry coming out to MIS to enjoy a great time of racing. We started to see those account holders, those fans, go away. Now, we continued that false sense of security because we were selling out, because we had people from Canada, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. We had a great waiting list, and we continued to sell out. It eventually caught up with us because it was much more than the economy. We had the worst traffic in NASCAR. Took 5 hours to get out of there. We had an antiquated facility. A lot of the amenities, if that's what you want to refer to them as, were from 1968. And we had a philosophy where the bottom line drove what we did for the fans. So we were kind of like the canary in the coal mine for the whole industry for a while. We're, like I said, 2-3 years ahead of the rest of the country as far as the recession goes. So we knew we had to go out on our own and kind of rebrand ourselves, re-identify, reinvigorate, reiterate, innovate, become creative. We had a new demographic. The old demo race fan, I mean, we've still got some, don't get me wrong, but it's changing. Like Colin mentioned, the millennials coming in, new fans. So we had to reinvent ourselves very quickly. And there was a defining moment for me, and it transferred down to the rest of the team. And that was standing in my office looking at seats that I used to buy. That was one of those, you know, raise the hair on your arms, goosebump kind of moment, because it then became very humbling when I realized in this seat of driving a publicly traded company that it was incumbent upon what I had just done for so many years, purchased race tickets. I made the choice, okay? It's not gas for your car, it's not paying your electric bill, it's not diapers for your kids. It's a choice to go to a motorsports event. And if you're choosing to give us your time and your money, that's very profound. And it goes much deeper than just, you know, saying this, yeah, of course we all know we're choosing to give our money, give our time, but it's actually very profound. So instead of the bottom line driving what we did for the fans, what if the guest experience drove the bottom line? What if we flipped that model a little bit? Now, I don't control the number of lead changes, the margin of victory, or who wins. We all know Mike Helton does that up from the tower. I wish he would pick Dale Jr. a few more times. Or Carl Edwards. We'll give a little love down there to Jamie. But what we do control is the door-to-door experience of the race fan, to and from, coming out to see all these great drivers, to see the activity. So we decided we wanted to do something different. We wanted to build a relationship with the fans. And we knew it was going to take some time, but we had to start somewhere. We wanted to build a human relationship. We wanted to be authentic. We wanted to be credible. We wanted to be genuine. We wanted to be transparent. Most of all, we wanted them to know we shared their passion, because we felt if we earned their trust, gained their loyalty, that's how we could drive revenue. There was another defining moment. I won't go into this whole story, but it's great. If you ever go down to Disney and do Disney training, they will show you a scene from Roger the Rabbit. It's about a 90-second scene. They will also tell you it took more money and more time for their animators to create that 90-second scene than it did the entire rest of the movie. And so they have a room full of very smart people like this, and ultimately you get down to the point where no one can figure out what is so special about that 90-second scene. And they go on to tell you what only 1% of the people who watch that movie notice it. And so of course you ask, well, why did you spend all that time and money on 1%? And this was very profound to me. If you can take care of the 1%, the other 99% are easy. So we decided we wanted to take that, we turned it into our own guest services training, we call it Bump the Lamp, and we had that permeate throughout the company. So, creating shareholder value, that's not the most motivational thing. It is for our full-time employees. Because if you don't adopt this guest services philosophy, then it's very easy. You're fired. We'll get rid of you. But what about the 4,000 volunteers for a race weekend? 4,000 to help us put on a weekend. Now, we pay the service group, but ultimately those volunteers for the service group, they're there on their own time. So how do we get them invested to the point, because they have so much more connectivity with the fan. They're going to see more fans than the full-time team at MIS and I will on any given weekend. How do we get them to care as much as we do? So that's where a Bump the Lamp training came in, and it has been very successful. That led to our vision, creating lasting memories for every person, every time. We don't make a product. We're probably different than anybody else here at the SEMA show. We make memories. That's all. There's nothing tangible about what we do. Yeah, you may walk away with a hat or shirt or something like that, but we make memories. So we've decided we didn't want it to be just a slogan. I know some of you are looking at the picture. Yes, that's me. I'll interrupt for a second. Yes, I'm conducting a wedding. So I'm very active on Twitter at MIS Roger. And two people asked if they could get married at the racetrack. I said yes. They said, could we do it on a race weekend? I said, sure, why not? How about in Gatorade Victory Lane after the nationwide race? They said, we'd love it. They said, would you do it? Okay, so I Googled becoming a minister. And it took about 15 minutes and $60. And I became a minister and I married him. So it was really cool. So that's the kind of stuff we do. We create memories. So that's why I put that picture on there. I mean, there's a memory. And we wear that we wear our vision on our sleeve. All of us do. It's very important because we're not just a NASCAR facility. We're not just a motorsports facility. We're not even just a sports facility. We're entertainment. We act and think like Disney. And I think that's very important because we don't want marketing and guest services to be two separate departments. To us, they're one and the same. That's why I go back to wearing that vision statement on our sleeve. Above all else, have fun. Again, if we're there to create memories, if we all agree on that that's all we do, then we've got to have fun with our guests. And if we're walking around with a sour face, worried about the bottom line and what the margin is on that hamburger and everything else, how's that going to translate to the fans wanting to come back? I mean, I can worry about that on Monday. So we do have fun. We do some pretty crazy things. I stay at the racetrack. A lot of our team stays at the racetrack. We sit around the campfires. We have a couple drinks with the fans. They're a great focus group. I get to hear what they're thinking. They get to hear what I'm thinking. And that's pretty awesome. But we do crazy stuff. We paint school buses. We have an inordinate number of school buses for some reason that people turn into RVs. Sometimes they get there and they're still yellow. So we just started painting school buses for people. Yes, I dress up like Elvis too. Besides conducting weddings, I dress up and go out in the infield and goof off with, that's the king of the infield, by the way, so I'm as crazy. Did you say I had a PhD? I just was checking earlier. You will never say that again now, will you? We'll be back out here in a few weeks for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series banquet, and we bring fans with us. I mean, all the CEOs of sponsors and companies, they come out here, but again, none of them would be here if the fans weren't here, so why can't we bring some of them to enjoy the festivities? So, like I said, we do some really crazy things. We have fans give away the trophy in Victory Lane, but it's also led to some serious innovation. And having fun is certainly a big part of it, but so is having a fan advisory board. We're going to be the first track to have a teen fan advisory board to find out what the millennials are thinking. We have access beyond, all the tracks that NASCAR goes to, we've worked so closely with them. They've been so great to give our fans so much more access than probably many others. And the drivers have been absolutely phenomenal. We've started new things to help educate fans. We have a website called myspeedway.com, which is just a series of videos for first-time guests who have never been to a 1,400-acre facility. It's a very daunting facility. It's beautiful, but it can be very daunting. So how can we educate them? We started a welcome center that we put out in our fan plaza, our midway, if you will, to help educate fans, not just about MIS, but about NASCAR. What is this thing? We're really good at getting fans to the track for the first time. But if they're new, and I'm not kidding here, we've done some studies, they're looking at our scoreboard and they see 124, 299. I guess I should have flipped that, Jamie, I'm sorry. But they're thinking that we're playing Keno. They don't understand that Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, these guys running first and second. So we've got to help educate these new fans as they get out there. And technology. Everyone's talking about that. We were the first track in NASCAR to offer free Wi-Fi. Now, we didn't do the whole track. 1,400 acres would be incredibly expensive. But we rolled out some hot spots, and it was a home run. And I'm really happy this week, our parent company, International Speedway Corporation, with 12 tracks, announced that over the next 2 years, all 12 tracks are going to have Wi-Fi, 4G connectivity, and big high-def video screens to really take that home living room experience out to the racetrack and make it something very special and very unique. And I go back to the two-way communication. We do podcasts, we do web chats, Twitter, Facebook, I mentioned those, how active we stay with our fans. All these things, it doesn't, for you guys it may not sound cutting edge, but for motorsports and interacting with the fan, those of you who have been around and have gone to races of any form over the years, 70s and 80s, 90s, this is cutting edge. Relationships alone, lower prices. We've actually lowered prices, believe it or not, on a lot of things. You still need to deliver on the brand promise. Those things are not enough. And I mentioned the antiquated facility. So we invested about $80 million over the last 5 or 6 years. Everything, as you can see there, from just new gates to help get people through, new suites, new media centers, scoreboard. That one photo of the fireplace, that's actually in one of our suites, an indoor-outdoor fireplace. The patio area, that's in a common area in one of our campgrounds now. So that was very important that we invest in the facility, and of course we fixed traffic. That was the first thing that we did. I'm really happy to say now the worst traffic in NASCAR is probably the best egress in NASCAR, thanks to the Michigan Department of Transportation. The average wait time for a fan who chooses not to tailgate after the race, who wants to get out of there, is 15 minutes. But we had to not only the relationship with our fans and the focus on NASCAR, but look, we've got 1,400 acres. We've got a staff of people who are great. They're experts at putting on large-scale events, promoting them, organizing them, managing them. What could we do with our facility beyond NASCAR? And automotive R&D jumped out. I mean, we're in the heart of it with not only the OEMs that are headquartered there, but there's a lot of manufacturers that have tech centers there or are going to be bringing tech centers there. So we're still in the heart of the automotive industry, and connected and autonomous vehicle testing is what's coming next. It's already happening, but it's huge. And we started back in, I think with the Automotive X Prize 2 or 3 years ago. We had 60 days of testing after that last year. This year we had over 120 days of testing at our facility. Everything from Tardac, the Tank Command, we've had Hitachi, Auto Week does a lot of work out there. Lexus has debuted. What's great about it is you can make it as private or as public of a test as you would like, and it's completely neutral. You can bring out whoever you want. It's like a sandbox that everyone, all the OEMs, all the suppliers, all the tech companies can come out and play at the same time if they would like. We've added additional events. This was important. Okay, if we can't jump right out and immediately turn a millennial into a NASCAR fan, if we have to get them antiquated, get them acquainted with the facility first and foremost, what's a hook that we can get them out? So we looked at a couple different things. Alcohol is one. You see the Michigan Wine and Beer Festival. That's in its 4th year, and it's doing incredibly well. We debuted 2 new events this year. Tough Mudder. If you don't know what a Tough Mudder is, it's an incredible obstacle course where people actually will pay you to come jump in 32-degree water and get electrocuted. It's crazy. About 24,000 people paid to have that done to them. It's insane, but it brought out a lot of different people. The demographics were crazy. And then we partnered with Live Nation. That one was huge. 60,000 people came out to a country music festival, 3 days. And I can tell you the average age of that was about 24 to 26 years old. and a lot of them became familiar with our facility and the other events that we hold there now, including NASCAR. So these were great ways to connect. It was a great way to utilize our expertise in our facility and to continue to grow. Green, we've talked a lot about that. Well, we're green too. You may not think it, but it's part of our brand. We're located in what is a naturally beautiful area, the Irish Hills of Michigan. Our fans call us NASCAR in a national park. They love it out there. We're the #1 sports facility recycler in the state of Michigan. There's a lot of big facilities in the state of Michigan, including the Big House, Comerica Park, Joe Louis Arena. We're #1. We're the largest recycler of all NASCAR tracks. In 2013 alone, we collected over 21 million tons of beverage containers. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It might say how much our fans drink in the infield. I don't know. But the good thing is they think to recycle when they're done. I love that. So we have 8,000 square feet of solar panels on our new Media Center Suite building that I mentioned. And I'm very proud. We were the first major motorsports event to go carbon neutral. We worked with Carfax a few years ago. The entire NASCAR Sprint Cup Series weekend went carbon neutral. We've done that for a few years. That led to over 17,000 native trees being planted in national wildlife refuges around the country. And then that led to, we're very proud, the NASCAR Green Innovation Award that we won this year. So I want to just close and, kind of going back to the beginning. Why is a racetrack here? You're not making any parts. You don't have a booth out there. You're not displaying. But I guess it's to continue that cutting edge, innovation and creativity. You've just got to have that philosophy. You've got to have that in your DNA, whether it's a good that you're producing, a tangible product, or a service. So for us, whether it's our vision statement, bump the lamp, the R&D, the automotive R&D that we're doing, you can never stop iterating and innovating. You have to continue to do that. And it's also why, no matter how imperfect we may be, and trust me, we will never be perfect, you always have to be genuine in what you do and realize that fans are making that choice that I talked about, just like people are choosing to buy your product. You have a lot of competitors out there. Don't forget, they're choosing to buy your product. It's imperative to remember that and to take your vision statement beyond just a cool tagline or a cool commercial, a poster on the wall. It's about every action that you and your entire team does every day. So I want to end with just a couple of quotes because I thought these were fantastic. All the speaking engagements that I've heard over the last few years, I look at these all the time. Be famous to the people who love you for the way you love them. I got that at a customer service event that I was at. And I love this, especially with all the technology we're talking about, because it gets lost sometimes about people. People is still the killer app. And then I love this one, Jamie. It's for him, from Henry Ford. To get a little love for Ford in there. This is my favorite one. And I use it on my kids all the time to the point that they can't stand me. But Henry Ford said this: whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And we think we can at MIS, and we're going to get it done. So thank you. I'm reinvigorated. I'm going to go back home and move fast and break things. I usually do. I'm good at breaking things. I don't know about moving fast. Thanks, John.